Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you guys have any question from Mr. Session? I think we all started posting transaction. So any questions so far?
Also.
So this is posting the transaction what we have seen, right? So all these of basic steps. So now there is another important step that we need to understand. That's also part of the initial basic setup that we have to do. But that is not a mandatory to post transaction. Without that, also we can post transaction, which you saw yesterday. But when it comes to finance, the most important thing that we're going to focus is on financial dimension. See, okay, before I explain what is financial dimension, why do you think we use ERP system? This is also global. So why do you think we use ERP system? Anyone? What is the main purpose of using an ERP? Can be any ERP.
To track all the expenses and incomes.
Okay, to track all the expenses, incomes. Anything else?
So it's a
Reporting should be
centralized
easy.
system for everything.
Centralized system. Correct. So that's, I think you guys know, right? So it's a centralized system where you can, do all the activities in one place. But the most important thing is to get the reports, and that reports will give a detailed breakup of your expenses, income, and whatever you want to see within that, right? Like the business wise, the area wise, the cost center wise, or the department wise. So it will give a complete breakup. Sorry. So this is the main reason why we use an ERP. Right now, to get this breakup, financial dimension is key. So what is financial dimension? Financial dimension will not have any impact on financials like finance, but the the reason why we create financial dimension is to get the breakup of report. Okay, that's the main reason why we use financial dimension. So let's take in a very simple terms to understand. Let's say we are running a college. Okay. Now, at the time of running a college, let's say I have different streams within that, right? So let's say I will take one of the financial dimension as department. So department is my financial dimensions. So what is financial dimension? Financial dimension is anything that you want to see as a breakup. We will create one value called as financial dimension. It can be department, it can be cost center, it can be location, right? So it's basically up to client what name they want to give, because at what level they want to track the data. It's based on that financial dimension is going to be determined. Now let's say I create a department. Now what departments will a college have? Can you give two, three example? Anyone?
HR, accounts,
Okay,
finance.
so HR, accounts, finance, right? Let's say marketing. So I have three different departments. Okay, so department is my financial dimension. Now, under financial dimension, you will have different values, right? This becomes my dimension values. These are all my dimension values. Like that, you take an example of location also. Let's say if I want to track location wise, then location becomes my department. Now under location, let's say I have Hyderabad, I have Bangalore, I have Delhi, I have Mumbai. So this becomes my dimension values. Okay. So there is no restriction on the number of dimension values that you can create. You can create any number of dimension values. And financial dimension is also global setup, as I mentioned here. So once you create a financial dimension, it is not applicable to your legal entity straight away until and unless you assign to your legal entity. So this is, since it's a global setup, you will see a lot of financial dimension being created in that particular form. But you can uh, like have your own financial dimension, or can use the existing one with your own values and connect to your legal entity. Okay, so just one sec. Is Jeff able to join? No, I don't see him here. It's not able to join. Okay, so now let's also take or let's try to post one entry to understand how financial dimension helps to get the breakup of reports. So let's say for college, what is the main income? Yes, for college, what is the main income?
Fees. College fee.
Admission fee, right? So now, can you give me the accounting entry for admission fee? What will be the accounting entry? Let's say you received a cash via admission fee. So what will be the accounting entry?
So cash account debit to revenue account or income account.
Correct, right? So let's take that as an example. Let's say I'm receiving a cash of 1 lakh, which is my admission fee for 1 year, and I'm crediting admission fee. Yeah. Now this is the transaction the user has posted. Now this is without dimension, without financial dimension. So let's say by seeing this transaction, if the manager wants to know what is the total income of the college, can they tell? What is the total income they have received for the year? Yes, I have entered the amount also here. So what is the total income, the admission fee they have received?
1 lakh.
Lakh.
1 lakh, right? So it is straightforward there. Now, at the same, now I want to know what is the amount that I have received from, let's say, marketing. Can I tell that by seeing the secondary?
Also.
Yes. No. I will not be able to get the breakup, right? So why I want to know, see, as a whole, like if I take at the college level, I know 1 lakh is a pretty good income, but I want to know how each department is performing so that I can take a decision what changes can be made for each department. Because at the individual level only, I'll get the amount, right? So this is the total. So by seeing this, I will not be able to get any of that breakup. So what I can do with financial dimension is I can get the breakup. What financial dimension will do? Let's say I have a cash. I am not applying any financial dimension for asset. So my cash will be 1 lakh as it is. But when it comes to admission fee, I will add additional called as financial dimension. So I will show how that is connected. So whenever an admission fee is selected, department will come into picture and uses us to put the value. Let's say I want to put HR. Let's take these three values here. So I want to put the values. Now my 1 lakh amount, which is received are there, right? So there is no changes with the amount. But what happens here is, let's say this is 15,000, this is 30,000, and this is 55,000. So I am making profit like this. So now if you see, can you get the breakup of each department wise by seeing this particular accounting entry? Yes, no.
Yeah.
So now we will be able to tell that, right?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
So that is what financial dimension will do. So if we see the amount wise, there is no changes, right? It's the same thing. Whatever transaction we posted without financial dimension, the amount wise, it's the same. The only change is we have a financial dimension for the second one, which will give us the breakup. So that is what financial dimensions will do. It will help you to get the breakup. Now, since I need, I mean, this is something what the business has to decide. When I say business, the company has to decide, right? Because at what level they want to see the breakup, uh, uh, whether it's a department wise and within department, what is the values they want to use it. So this is completely decided by the client. So we have to tell them this is how you will get the reports by using financial dimensions. I will show how the breakup works even at the trial balance level. So to understand those things, it's important to have a proper discussion with regards to financial dimension, and they have to give us the value. Okay, so now let's come back here. So let's create financial dimension in the system and then try to post this particular transaction. Okay, so to create a financial dimension, go to general ledger. then go to chart of accounts, dimensions, financial dimensions. Okay, so this is a place where we create financial dimension. So as I told you, this is a global form. And one more key to understand with regards to the financial dimension is, if you can read here, updates to financial dimension will not take effect until dimension activation is run. That means once you create a financial dimension, it will be inactive. You need to active, and unless it is active, it will not be able to run. Okay, that's the first thing. Now, once you to make active, in order to make that active, if you read here, dimension activative changes the database schema, and you need the dimension active privilege run the process. That means if you want to activate a financial dimension, it will impact all the modules, and that is why it will impact the database. Now, the activation of dimension is only allowed when the system is in the maintenance mode. So this is very important for you guys to understand. Currently, let's say I'm using this system. If I create a new financial dimension, I will not be able to activate a financial dimension. In order to activate a financial dimension, the environment has to be put in a maintenance mode, which is done in the backend by a technical team. So they will put the environment in the maintenance mode. At that point of time, you will not be able to use the system in the front end. So in the backend, they will put the system on the maintenance mode, and they will activate financial dimension. So that is how it's done. So when you create a new financial dimension, we're going to update the technical team in order to do a new, financial dimension activation. Now I've also made one video where I've explained how dimension can be activated from the front end, but from the new version, which is version 40, I think they have deprecated that particular thing. Like, you will not be able to do that in the front end anymore. So I will not be able to cover that. So I will share that link. Go to that video. It's very, like, it's just a 2 minutes video, not much. But then, if it's a latest version, you will not be able to use that. There, I think it's not available. I don't know. Maybe in 41 you might get it back, but at least in version 40 it's not there. Okay. So now, since we will not be able to, like, from the backend, I will not be able to access now. So I will not be able to put on maintenance mode and activate. So for now, to our understanding purpose, we will use financial dimension, which is already active, so that you don't deactivate which is already active, because we will not be able to activate it again. So we will pick financial dimension which is already active, and we will add our own values so that we can use it for transaction purpose. Okay, so let me see here. Department is what I want. So I have two departments here. I think both the departments are active. So if I go to dimension values, so you can see here, these are all different values which you guys can ignore. Okay. So what we will pick is our own values we will use, like HR, accounts, and marketing. I can see HR and marketing is already created. So you can see there's marketing. You can see there is HR. There is finance also. So instead of accounts, let's say I will take this as finance. So you can see values is also already created. Okay. So now, before I use this, just to show you how a financial dimension is created, click new. Now use values from. Okay, so there is two options. One is custom, and you can see there are so many options. Okay, so there is two types of financial dimension. Now, before I explain that, so we will first understand dimension, apply for transaction. We will go through that, then we will come for type of financial dimension. So for now, I'm keeping it as custom. So you can see, you can give whatever dimension name. Now, when you give a dimension name, it has to be unique value. If dimension name is already being used, then you will not be able to create it. It will throw error. So it should always be a unique value. Okay. So once a dimension name is created, you can see a financial dimension is ready. Okay. I will not be able to give the icon also. Okay. So this is saved. Now you don't need to update anything else, report column name or this, it's not required. So only use values from and department name. That's it. Two things if you create, dimension is ready, but the status will be inactive. Okay. And if you try to activate from here, let's say you click activate, it will not allow you to do that. So you can see here, the activation of dimension is only allowed when the system is in maintenance mode, and the maintenance mode can be enabled by running maintenance job from LCS, which is done in the so they have to basically deployed, so which we will not be able to do. So that's how it is activated. So once this is active, now let's say I want to add some values. So click on dimension values. Okay. So click new to create a financial dimension value. Under new, you can give a code. So basically, like let's say if I want HR, so you can give code as HR or you can give 01. Like it's up to you or it's up to client and you how you discuss. So you can either give a code with numerical values or alphanumeric, however you want. You can fill this, give a description. Okay. So once you give a dimension value description, next under general, there is active from and active to. So this is also similar to your account structure. If you want to have a validation or if you want to be have a value active for a specific duration, only then you have to give active from and active to. Otherwise, you can leave it as blank. Okay. Now, once a financial dimension is created and used for transaction, the delete button will be disabled. So at that point of time, if you want to stop using that particular value for some reason, let's say you have location and after a couple of years, you want to stop operation in one of the location. Now that location will be part of your dimension value, or let's say this department only. So my HR is not doing well, like I am not making any money out of HR, so I want to stop using HR. So I will only keep accounts on marketing and probably open some other department, right? So HR value is there. Now I will not be able to delete. So that is when you will use suspended. So once a suspended button is enabled, you will not be able to post any new value for this particular value. So all the old values which is already posted, it will still be available in the report. So you will still see HR in the report and you will see values, old values, but you will not be able to post any new transaction when suspended is enabled. Okay, so these are the three key fields that you guys need to be aware of. Then you have something called as owner, someone who wants to take the responsibility of a particular department. Like each department will have head of the department, right? Which we call it as HODs, head of the department. So if there is any head of the department who will take care activities within that department, those you can create as an employee, and that will be assigned here. So then you have legal entity override, which I will cover later when I come for scenario wise. This is also an important concept which we will understand later. So this is how you create financial dimension values. So any question on creating financial dimension and dimension values? Anyone, any question? Guys, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So no questions, right? At least when I say questions, if you guys don't have, at least say no so that I'm aware that you guys are there.
Sir, we are using the existing one because we can't create new as the system has to be on the maintenance mode. That's
No,
why
we
we are
can
using the existing one.
see, we can create new. I just created. But even though you create, you will not be able to activate it. And if it's
Okay.
not active, you will not be able to use this.
Because of that message which you showed.
Correct. It's because that in order to activate a financial dimension, it's always done on the back end. You will not be able to activate from the front end.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. So if you guys are clear with that, so now let me use the one, let's say department CN, which is already created. So you can see similarly, they have used the custom dimension value and they have created different values and the status is active. So here I can see we have finance, HR, marketing. Okay, so all the values also available. So how do you link financial dimension to legal entity? Because all this are a global setup and we linked all of this in the ledger. But financial dimension is connected to legal entity through account structure. You can see account structure is connected to my legal entity, financial dimensions will be connected to account structure, which indirectly is connected to my legal entity. Okay. So here, now let's complete our account structure. So what we did in account structure, we segregated main account. Now we will add financial dimension also. So now let's complete what is account structure. So account structure is basically setting up the posting rules between main accounts and financial dimension. I think this is very important for you guys to understand. So what is setting up posting rules between main accounts and dimension? So now when we created main account, we created based on this logic. So at the time of posting transaction, system will verify this, right? So similarly, now I want to add a financial dimension. So let's say in our example, the cost center or the department is added to revenue, which is nothing but income, right? So cash is not an income, cash is an asset. So when I select asset, I don't want any dimension. Only for income, I need that. So what I will do here, so for asset liability expense, I will not do anything. Only for the income account structure, I will add a department, a cost center, sorry, a financial dimension called department, right? It is department CN. So I will connect department. So when you connect this, all the values, financial dimension values that you have created under this particular dimension will come into picture at the time of posting transaction. So you don't need to worry about dimension values because all the dimension values is under one financial dimension. So you will only need to connect financial dimension. So that is why we segregated this. I think now you guys should get clarity why we got asset liability expense income separate. Now let's assume if all of this was one account structure, then if I add department, so this department will be applicable for asset, liability, expense, and income. For all the transactions it will be applicable. But I want it to apply only for income. For asset, liability, expense, I don't want this. That is why you need to segregate main accounts. Then it will become more easy to achieve this. So now,
Cost center we can add for expense and income.
correct. So you can add different dimensions for different account structure. Okay, we will come to that.
Okay.
So now I'm just adding this particular financial dimension to this account structure. Okay, so you can definitely add multiple dimensions to different account structure. Okay, so once you connect here, now there is an option to make it mandatory or optional. That means when this particular thing is added, whenever an income account is selected, is it mandatory to select department value or is it optional? Again, this information has to come from business, right? So we have both the option to do as per this as setup. We have both the option. The decision would be taken by the client side. So now let's create this. Now let's go back to account structure, add the department, and we will create this posting rules and we will post a transaction. Okay. So let's go to system. So this is one financial dimension values. So let it be as it is. So let's go to our account structure. So go to general ledger. Then go to chart of accounts, structures, account structures, where we have already created our own account structures. So let me filter. So I want to touch income. So click on income. Now here also, if you check the income, the status is active. So click edit. So the status goes to inactive or draft. Once it's draft, now you can see we have our main accounts. So I can add financial dimension using the option add segment. So if I click add segment, you can see all the dimensions will come here. Now one thing you need to understand, when a financial dimension comes here, it's only those dimension which is active. For example, I just created one of the financial dimension, which was CE, right? So we created this. So the status is inactive. Now, if you see here, the CE will not be available, CE department. So when you guys create and if you don't see that here, it's understood that the status is inactive. That is why you don't see here. So only those with active status will come here. So select this department CN and click add segment. Okay, so this is important for you guys to understand as well. Now let's go back. This is the dimension. Let me just click on the values. Okay, so I've added this account structure here. Now you can see this star. So this represents mandatory. That means you cannot skip updating values to department CN. If you don't update a value, system will throw error. So let's first see that, and then later we will make it optional. Okay. So by default, it will always be mandatory. We can make it optional also. So once you add this, now again click activate. The status has to become active for us to use in transaction. So click activate. It's getting activated. Okay, so the status is now active. So once it's active, now let's go for transaction. I think before going for that, I don't have an admission fee account created. So let me quickly create one main account. So go to main accounts. So we have created two main accounts, right? So now let's say click new. So what is the number I have to give here for admission fee? Let's say name is admission fee. Right, what is the number I need to give for system to understand?
Uh, Income, two or three, maybe.
2 or 3. Okay.
I'm not
So what
sure.
about others?
Uh,
What do you guys think? What name should I give? I mean, what number should I use?
It should be 40,000 to 49, the one we gave to income.
Exactly. It has to be this number only, right? So if I give 2 or 3 as someone said, right? System will not pick that as income at all. So then where will department come into picture? It will not come. So this logic you guys need to understand, right? So now you can see here, any number between 40,000 to 49,999 only will use department value. Anything else, it will not use department. So it has to be within that range only. So I will give 40,000. Main account type will be revenue and save. Okay. So now let's go for transaction. Cash is already there. So go to general journals. Click new. So now you will understand. Yesterday we saw that both the debit and credit was in single line. But today, can I do in single line? What do you
No,
guys
there
think?
will be multiple lines because we do have income from different departments.
Hmm,
There
exactly.
will be only three lines.
Correct. So we have different different values, right? So if I select HR and if I enter this amount, it will be one line of this amount. So I cannot include this. So I have to have multiple lines in order to achieve this. So let's say I will select cash first. So as I told you, if I select cash, we will not get any dimension. And I have received 1 lakh, okay, which is on the debit side. Let's say save. You can see debit is updated, credit is 0, therefore there is a balance of 1 lakh. So now I can click new, where I will select admission fee. And as soon as I select admission fee, department will come into picture. And you can see all the values will be available here. Let's say I will not fill any value. Okay, you will get an error. What is the error? Blank is not allowed for department for the combination. You can see when you make it mandatory, without filling that value, you will not be able to post the transaction. So now let's select the value. Let's say I want to select HR. Okay. So for HR, let's say I want to update amount 15,000. Save. So you can see credit 15,000. Still I have a balance of 85. So again click new. Now after that I will again select admission fee. Now here we will select, let's say, finance, which is 30,000. Now I will have a balance of 45,000 or 55, sorry. Again click new. So select another ledger again, admission fee. Now I will select value, marketing. So this will be 55,000. Save. Now you can see debit credit is matching. Therefore, my balance is 0. So by financial dimension, the user activity will increase because instead of pushing a simple transaction, now they have to select values. But by doing so, you will get a good breakup of the values. Now you click on voucher. So you can see here, I received a cash of 1 lakh, and I can also know admission fee received from each department. So for marketing, you can see here, right? Marketing, I have 55, finance, I have 30,000, and HR, I have 15,000. So that is how it will give the breakup as well. So that's how financial dimension is used. Now I will show how this is run in the backend from the report perspective also. So let's see that. Now before that, any questions? This is very important concept, financial dimension, because it is used everywhere. Like whether you take ACM, whether you take production, whether you take advanced warehouse, so all those places financial dimension will be impacted. Wherever transaction is posted, financial dimension will be impacted. So we need to properly carefully design this. So you need to understand the flow, how it works, right? So everyone clear with the concept of dimension?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Just one thing, Bharat.
Yes.
Yesterday you mentioned that there are two approaches with which we can post
So
these
sorry, I
transactions.
missed you. I missed your question. Sorry.
There are
Can you
two approaches with which we post these transactions.
correct?
Can we also do these instead of 4 lines? Can we also post these transactions in just three? Like we can enter the debit amount with the same amount which we have received
See, okay.
for that
Now
particular line.
you need to understand. If I don't, I mean, see, can system automatically understand marketing, finance, and HR has to be selected? We need to think the logic, right? Now I'm a user. I'm posting. Okay. So I would know that this income has come from because I'm seeing an invoice with me, right? System don't have that invoice with in the system. How does the system understand that it has to select marketing, finance, HR? There is no logic for system to pick that, right? So user has to input that. There is no option system to understand this has to be picked. Whereas if you enter amount on debit, select the offset account, then system understand that it has to pick the value which we saw yesterday, right? So that is straightforward. But if there is this values that you have to pick, you have to manually pick. System cannot understand that it has to pick marketing, finance, and HR. Like there is no logic for system to pick that, right? So you have to do it manually only in this way. There is no other option for this transaction.
Okay, okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Any other question? Okay. So now let's go for trial balance. Now, before I run this trial balance, there is something called as financial dimension set. So what is financial dimension set? Financial dimension set will allow you to run the trial balance based on the combination of financial dimension and main account. So currently I want to see this breakup. So this is nothing but department financial dimension, right? So I have to create a financial dimension set. As I told you, this will help you to reporting purpose. So if you go to general GL module, okay, chart of accounts, dimensions, you can see there is something called as financial dimension sets. So this is for reporting. This is dimension sets. This also you cannot have duplicate. So if something is already there, let's say we'll see if something is already there. So I can see here main account and department CN. So main account is we have used it. Department CN is also is our department, right? This is the one we have used it. So this combination is already created in EGL. So I will not be able to create a new combination with this because it's already exists. So we can use this combination. Now let's come back here. Okay, so for you guys to understand, click new, how to create a new, just give a random value. Okay, give a name, whatever dimension combination you want to add. Let's say I want main account, add here. I want, let's say, worker, add here. I want department, add. Now after adding here, let's say I want to arrange this. Let's say department has to go up, worker has to be down, arrange it. Or let's say I don't want worker, remove it. So this way you can add it, remove it, arrange it, and then save. Nothing much. Okay. So this combination you can create so that you can run the report based on that combinations. Now let's come back to trial balance. So you guys have not seen the trial balance page, right? So this is where trial balance is there. So in the trial balance, you will have date range where you can select from month to date. So here, another important to understand, you can run trial balance for 1 day or 1 month, 1 week, or for specific dates within a financial year. You can run for the whole year as well. But you cannot run financial dimension for two different financial year. Let's say our financial year starts from September 1st to August 31st, 2025. So you can see I can run for the whole year. If I try to run, let's say August 1st, which is previous year also, click calculate balance, it will throw error. So you can see here from date in the financial year to date must be in the same fiscal year. So that's another key. Now why so? Because see, we will close uh, financial year in the system. So last year balance will be transferred to current year. So there is no need for you guys to go and check previous year balance. Previous year balance is anyway moved to the current year. So you would not have a necessity to go back. So that's another important thing to understand. It has to be within a financial year. And it can be like 1 day, 2 day, it can be a year, I mean, it can be month. So you can give from one to whatever you want within a financial year. Now you can see main account set. So by default, you can see it is main account. Posting layer will always be current. Don't need to change that. So we will see posting layer later. Click calculate balances. So when you click calculate balances, you can see system is running and it will show the balance. We have cash, insurance expense, admission fee. So here if you see admission fee, I have received 1 lakh. So when we post a transaction, we post it with a breakup. But currently you don't see that breakup here, right? But if you click on this hyperlink, here you will see this breakup. But then the management will say, I want to see the breakup here itself because that's the reason why we have financial dimension. If that is the case, expand this. So now you can run with whatever combination you want. So let's say I want EGL. That's the name given for main account plus department, right? So now let's use this and run. Now you can see here, not just the main account, it is giving me main account plus department. So wherever department is blank, only main account will be there and you can see the total amount. But wherever department is there, you can see combination is available breakup and the amount is also splitted into three different combinations, 30, 50, 55. So this is how this trial balance can also be run based on financial dimension and main account combination. So once you run this report, let's say I want to do some working on this report in an Excel sheet, you can see there's an option here, open in Microsoft Office, select that. And once you select this, you can click on download from here, or there's another option to download also. That will help, that will be useful when you want to do some workings in an Excel sheet. So you can see export to Excel trial balance. If you click this, it will get exported. That is one option. Or simply do a right click here. You can see export all rows, export marked rows, whichever is marked. Currently I marked this one row, no? So only that will be exported. Click export all rows, it will export a complete Excel sheet. So whatever you see here, that will come in an Excel sheet, a simple Excel sheet, which can be used by the end users in order to do their reconciliation or whatever values they want to verify. They can verify using an Excel sheet. See, a simple right click and download, it will download the complete trial balance. So this can be used for them to do the workings. So that's about the financial dimension combination sets. So there is one more concept within this financial dimension. Before I go there, any question on this? Okay, so after this, I think I will give you use cases.
No, sir.
So I want you, I mean, you guys can go and spend some time work, and probably we can have one session where we can discuss that. So we will understand how much you guys have understood this particular concepts. At least for GL, we will do, because that's very important to understand all the concepts within GL. Okay. Now we have posted the transaction. We have seen how mandatory can be used. So I want to make financial dimension optional. So how do you make it an optional? So let's go back to our account structure where we've added financial dimension. So go to income account. So click edit. Right now my department CN is mandatory. So click here, and then you can see something called as blank values are allowed. So you can see here. So currently I have selected department CN. Select this. Once you select, you can see the combination it's changed here, right? So now if I activate, now this is optional because blank values I have allowed. So it becomes optional. At the time of posting transaction, it's up to users whether they want to post the dimension values or not. So if I go to generate, I will still get the option department, but it's up to user or not to enter the value. If I select here, let's say cash, enter the value, and on the income account currently, if I select admission fee department, but let's say I don't want to fill the value. So if you remember previously, if I leave blank, I used to get error. Right now, since I've allowed blank values, I can even post a transaction without filling the dimension value. So this also we need to discuss, not just adding the financial dimension, whether it should be optional or mandatory. So that's also another key thing to have a proper discussion with the client and update. So this is how you make it a value mandatory or optional. Okay. So another thing to understand is the type of financial dimension. This is the last within the financial dimension. Okay. So there is two. One is custom, uh, and the other one use values from. That's basically this not a derived, like you can use values. Okay. So what is this custom dimension and what is this use values from, and what is the difference between these two? Again, you might get a question on interview, and that's why it's good you guys understand this concept as well. When I created financial dimension here, when I click new, let me go back to what I created, right? Huh. So when I come here, so you can see I used something called as custom dimension. Okay. So what is custom dimension? When you select use values from as custom dimension, you can sorry, create your own FD values, financial dimension values. So if I go dimension values, you can see I will have an option to click new, like how we created this. I can give dimension value and I can work on this. So I can create my own financial dimension values. When you use any other use values from other than custom dimension, let's say I click new just to show, you can see there are so many values here, right? So that is basically in a simple English terminology, you can say it as derived. So what do you guys understand by derived? That means it is deriving value from somewhere, right? For example, let's say customers. If I select customers here, what will happen with this legal entity? Whatever, not just this legal entity, throughout, like whatever customer you create, so dimension value, it will be derived. You will not be able to create your own dimension values. Okay. So customer should already be there. So I will not be able to save this. So let's say I want to see customers. So when you use values from customers, if I go inside dimension value, you can see there is no new option. I will not be able to create any new. Because once I create customers in the system, those customers by default will become a dimension value. It is automatically derived. Similarly, there is another option also called as department. So this is not custom what we created. This is use values from department. So just to understand how system will automatically pick it, let's say department is part of my operating units. So one of the department I will create there. So if I go back, go to organization administration, then operating units. So use values from, let's say, bank accounts, vendors, customers, workers. So all of this, what happens, you have a separate module for vendors, right? So you will create vendors. When you create those vendors, if you have financial dimension where it is using the values from vendors, all the vendors by default becomes your financial dimension value. So this will avoid duplicate. Like instead of doing it multiple times, creating customers there and then again creating customer as a dimension value, it is avoiding one step. It will automatically pick. And I will tell you, most of the time, your financial dimension will be custom dimension only. The reason, because no one would want to see at vendor level or customer level at the report. It's very rare, but generally they want to see business center, cost center, department wise. This is what they would want to see. So that is why custom only works majority of the time, but still you have an option. Okay. So now here, let's see, there is no new option. Sorry, here, right? There is no new option. So how does the value come here? So we will create one department. So let's say department, click OK, and give a name. Let's say I will say CE department. Okay, number automatically it will pick 327. Save. Now once you do this, come back here, refresh. See here, the one I just created there, 327 dimension value with description, it's already available here. Now you can edit and work on these things, but you will not be able to change any value or description. And you cannot create also, delete also, because that is automatically coming from a different place if the used values is used like derived. So that's about the type of financial dimension. With this, financial dimension is completed. So just to brief, financial dimension is basically a global form, and once you create financial dimension, it can be shared between multiple legal entities. Now a financial dimension created has to be activated for us to use it, and the activation is done only from the back end. So you need to put the system on maintenance mode, and only then you can activate. So and once a dimension is created, there is two types of financial dimension. One is custom dimension, and one where the values is derived from a specific option that you select. So if you have a custom dimension, you can create your own dimension values. If you're using values from a different specific option, then the values will automatically flow from that particular value that you have selected, and you will not be able to manually create it. So this is your financial dimension and financial dimension values. So once this is created, to connect this to your legal entity, you will use account structure. So account structure is a place where posting rules is defined between main accounts and financial dimension. So I can build the combination here, which will be validated during posting the transaction. So once a financial dimension is added to a particular account structure, I can make that as mandatory or optional. If I make mandatory, I cannot post a transaction without those values. If it is optional, it's up to users to put the value or not to add it. At the time of posting transaction, when I select a main account where the dimension is added, that particular dimension will come up, and inside dimension I can also see the dimension values which I can select to post the transaction. Once the transaction is posted, if I want to run the trial balance, I can run trial balance based on main account, or I can run trial balance based on main account and financial dimension combination. So to create this dimension combination with main account, I should create financial dimension sets where I can create any dimension combination. Then I can run using the financial dimension sets. The trial balance will also give me complete breakup. So once the trial balance is generated, I can export in an Excel where the workings can be done. So this is very important with regards to financial dimension. So that's what I've covered today. So any question? I think we still have 8 minutes. So if I pick new topic, I think I don't have time. So you guys have any questions so far? Whatever we have covered, are you guys clear with all the concepts?
Clear, sir.
So you guys have understood, right?
Yes, sir.
And I hope you guys are practicing also, because don't fall behind. So you can reach me individually for those who need the access. We will discuss. But then, whether with this environment or your own environment, that's okay. But please practice. And are you guys making notes? I don't think so, you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
See, because I'm just saying this every day for you guys to go and watch the recordings would not be feasible. So if you have it notes, it will help you guys. It will be easy to refer back and practice. So that's why I would recommend to do that. Again, it's up to your choice to do it. And also it will give experience. Documentation is key for us. It will help you to uh, understand a lot of things when you guys start doing documentation anyway. So just do that, and try to get errors, because if you guys get errors you will learn more. So I know we are still in the initial stage, not much of use cases we have discussed. Probably going forward we need GL for another 2 to 3 session. Topic wise not much, few simple concepts to be covered, but I want to cover different use cases, so that will help you guys to understand how GL is interconnected. Okay, so I think probably another 2 3 sessions. Probably this week we will complete GL module. Okay, guys, any questions before we wind up? Okay,
No, sir.
thanks. Let's
Yeah.
catch up tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.